Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley. This is another Shropshire church. This is the church at Quatt, St Andrew's, Quatt. It's near Dudmaston Hall, National Trust property, and has a connection with the hall. It was the burial place for the families at the big house. And as a result, it's been quite significantly altered. Externally, it looks largely Georgian. But you come inside and you realise that's a Norman arch there. That's an early Norman arch, maybe even Anglo-Saxon. And there's a 15th century arcade and a 15th century chapel, and you realise this is a medieval church that has been, well, the nave has been mostly rebuilt and largely encased to give us a Georgian building apart from the chancel. It's a marvellous building, plenty of old memorials and, well, very much to see, so without further ado, let's get at seeing. So here we are, we start at the west end under the organ gallery. Obviously the gallery is not accessible. They normally aren't because of health and safety concerns, which are generally quite reasonable. You will see that the seating has been renewed probably in the 20th century, early 20th century. A number of interesting memorials. This is to William Clare of Mowes, who died January the 20th, 1802, aged 82. And then you have the other family members. We have here St Elizabeth and St John the Baptist, and that is a 1910 window, so early 20th century. Now, I mentioned that you could see these memorials and this arcade. So here's this arcade. There's a 15th century arcade, the form is of that here. And these memorials here in the south aisle. And the aisle is not otherwise very much used, so we shall see what we can see in terms, yes, this is the Wallery family, or Walrich. And you've got these straightforward table tombs. There's the font and a lovely bit of Norman work there with its rope mould carving there. And then we have, this is Maria Walrich. And there she is. And she died in 1678. And she is very, very fashionable. I mean, that's a very fashionable dress for the period, and yes, they did go in for that kind of very low-cut look, shall we say. But it's a memorial. See, here's the beer, and there she is with a beer there, and there's the memorial to her ancestors, as it were, and there's the organ gallery at the back. That would have originally been painted, and it's been stripped of paint, which is probably not a good idea. And there's St Andrew in a window, and here we have, this is a piece of 1629, so it's a piece of the old woodwork to do with the three-decker pulpit, and you can see here there's the top part of the pulpit. So be instant, in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort. Nice bit of carving. Now, of course, we're not far from Bridgnorth, and famously Bridgnorth is where Richard Baxter begins his ministry. So this Puritan ministry and this sort of carving on the pulpit, sort of thing you'd expect to see Richard Baxter in. Here we have the War Memorial, and through into the chancel. This is one of the older parts of the church, and we find ourselves here. We've got the Francis Lang Whitmore killed by the falling of his pony at Donyo Sabuk, British East Africa. So the dangers of the Francis Alexander Walrich Whitmore, obviously the Whitmores end up, the male line of the Walriches fails and the Whitmores take over. And here we have John Eric Alexander, died in Kenya. Now, and just as an aside, one of the sillier things that was said over the people who said, well, Barack Obama wasn't born in the United States, etc., was that Kenya wasn't called Kenya until after independence. Well, here we have a gentleman who died in 1956 in Kenya. Now, Kenya was the name of the British colony. It didn't change its name on independence. And here we've got St Andrew, St Alban, St Michael, St Oswald, St George, and St Edmund. So these saints associated with the British Isles in various ways. And of course St Michael, who is the archangel. There is the nativity and resurrection of the crucifixion in the middle, and a nice, relatively plain wooden reredos. And here we have, as lovely again, more Woolriches. George here has lost his head, sadly. I do not think this is deliberate. It's these things were obviously things that stick up. And here we have it rather sad. This little child, death in infancy was all too common in the past. But here we are. She's lost her hands again because they're sticking up. They're more vulnerable, and so here we are. Just trying to see if I can read what it says they are, but no. Anyway, we can see from the date that they're going to be late 16th, early 17th century. Here we have George Woolrich, second son of Francis Woolrich, knight, and Margaret, his wife. And yes, I know that much Latin. If in this life only there were hope in Christ, we were of all the most miserable. None but Christ, none but Christ. 1641. And here we are, this little side chapel. We've got the Woolrich arms in the window and a little lectern. And here we are, Francis Thomas Woolrich, Baronet, and this is going to be, early 18th century. Whereas here, and again, the children have rather suffered. And it's not going to be deliberate. It's going to very largely be just accident. People have banged things against them, and unfortunately, all these lasses have been lost above the way because they've got those we can see this lass here, Mary, who got these very tight-waisted Elizabethan dresses, which must have been incredibly uncomfortable. So there we are inside here at Quatt, and this is what you will find at Quatt. It's a magnificent building, really. Very, very splendid. There we are looking. Now here we have the banner. The banner. And this is the headquarters Household Cavalry Battalion. This is the banner of the Royal Dragoons. The first Dragoons laid up in St Andrews, in acknowledgement of the service and sacrifice of the Hamilton Russell family. So there we are. I won't say very much about it, but it's very, very, very much worth visiting, and this whole church is worth visiting, of course. So that is Quatt. This is what you will find at Quatt on the inside. Now we go on the outside, which is also spectacular. And so here we are outside at St Andrews. You see what I mean about it having this Georgian appearance to the world, and this is the south side, which is not the side you go in on. That's the north side, unusually, but it does happen, as we'll see. And you see this wonderful tower, brick tower, with its round window, and then you've got these round-headed windows in the nave and that blocked south door that's doing what north doors normally do. And then you've got this chancel here, which is medieval in stone. Just move around here. See, the chancel here is medieval in stone. So a church of, well, actually more than two parts, but a medieval church has been much altered in the Georgian period. So we'll look around and have a closer look at that chancel, which very much rewards a close look. So here we are, and again I say it's the Georgian bit is mostly brick. is a striking material. It's a material that actually could be quite high status. And you can see here there's the churchyard cross base that's been used for a sundial, and there is the nave, is the chancel. Now I say medieval, of course, as we know, medieval covers a multitude of periods, if not sins. And you can see there, you see that door, and just above the door there is a window opening, and that is a at the very least Norman one, and you can see just to the east of the door the coins. I think that's an Anglo-Saxon window, and certainly that's the extent of the original chancel. It may well be Anglo-Saxon, or certainly very, very early Norman, and it's been extended eastwards at some point, maybe in the 13th century, but those windows have been inserted then later, perhaps in the 15th century, perhaps even later still. The tower, nice bit of Baroque there, sort of things inspired by Sir Christopher Wren. And around the back there's very weathered local red sandstone, because sandstone, even the original stuff, which is quite decent weathers. And here we have this sort of these later works, a lovely Queen Anne building there, old manor house perhaps, or obviously in private hands. And that is I suspect that's the family chapel, and I think that's been refaced again in the Victorian era. And you can just see there that step down, because that's where the aisle is. So that is St Andrew's Quatt. As we go around, you see there's nice big windows, because if this is a preaching church, this is what anything in that period is. It's a building for preaching more than anything else. Here we have the War Memorial in the form of a cross. Cross against the sky with the tower behind. North door, was it ever open? Certainly the tower door is the main entrance today, and seems to have been for a very long time. And we'll just come down here, because there is a little memorial by the door that is definitely worth pointing out here. So down we go. So Lieutenant Thomas Ord, Lord of Wilkinson, VC, the Loyal North Lancashire Regiment, gained his country's highest award for valour on 5th of July 1916 at La Boisselle, born at Lodge Farm, Dudmaston, 29th of June 1894. So VC. And there's that big bullseye type window. So that's the door. You can see the gates there. So that is Quatt Church, St Andrew's. And so that's St Andrew's Quatt. Very interesting building, multiple periods, those interesting memorials, the Warwickshire memorials inside. It's this is now the other side of Bridgnorth, and in the Severn Valley, and it's a magnificent building, well worth visiting. In the summer, when Dudmaston House is open, of course, that and the church can be visited together. Well, thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.